Hi, Rocky. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for your time today.
Hi, morning, Dominica. Thanks for inviting me.
So this morning we're going to talk about recruiting Chinese students. So this is really aimed at universities and education establishments, especially given the situation at the moment. We're in lock-in here in the UK for those that are watching here from China. So Rocky, just firstly, if we want to just do a quick introduction as to what you do at Emerging Communications when it comes to universities and educational brands, that'd be great.
Um, I'm head of the strategy and planning division in EC in terms of university clients. I would say my team work really closely with account managers and our content team. We are basically, I would call the marketing intelligence unit to support universities from a strategic point of view in terms of data, insights, bespoke market research, and how we keep up with competitors, and also the sentiments from Chinese students, especially during the current kind of like context. It's very, very important to monitor really closely of the audience.
Thank you very much. And how long have you been working at Emerging Communications in this capacity?
Nearly 5 years.
Wow, we've been together a long time.
Yeah, we've worked with different universities, different sizes, different rankings, different completely different awareness level in China. They all have different pens in China. I think what we are doing things differently as an agency. We tailor solutions for them. So every single one we bespoke everything rather than selling a set product to them. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we're in a situation that's unprecedented, certainly in my lifetime, in anybody's lifetime. And we're also conversely seeing the highest numbers of applications to UK universities for September 2020 recruitment and January 21. What do you think is driving this? What is driving this sudden increase in Chinese nationals wanting to study in the UK? It's always been a massive target market for universities, but more so now, more than ever. So what's driving this, Rocky?
I wouldn't say it's a sudden drastic increase. We've seen the trend in recent 7 years, especially in recent 5 years. I think, okay, so fundamentally, I think upper middle class Chinese parents are more financially ready compared to a decade ago, and also a big contribution from Trump and whatever's going on between China and the States. A very big factor, I would say, it's UK it's holding a unique position compared to any other overseas education destination, because if you think about if you got the heritage and culture beat, and alongside with the innovation, and so you got basically, there's an interesting, like when students deciding which country they go to, they think American or Canada, like they don't really have history. So they're focusing on the kind of like only the future part, like studying here, and then you don't really get any culture piece. You just stuck in middle of nowhere, like a huge so you gotta drive, and there's no like lack of human and cultural touch. So you are getting a degree there rather than having this immersive experience that UK as a very unique destination. You have to kind of like bond yourself in with the whole environment, and I think there's a definitely also between two governments we've seen ever increasing kind of like collaborations between, and it's like bonding. UK and Chinese government, they're bonding very closely in recent years. That's also a huge factor, and also the safety and parents want their kids to kind of like, to be immersive in this cultural and elite and, full of heritage. This is something sets UK apart. So in here, you kind of like, you witness the present, and then you got these huge kind of like accumulated cultural from the past hundreds of years. So that's, I think, so it won't stop because of the current situation. It's a long-term thing. UK being a, continues being a very attractive destination for Chinese students and parents.
So the postgraduate working visa that was extended from 6 months to 2 years recently, what impact do you think that's going to have on student numbers for this recruitment cycle 2020 and then moving on to 2021?
I think we are going to see the biggest growth ever, because, a lot of students chose to study in the States because the employability opportunity is there. But if you think about it, what's going on with Trump, like it's diminishing. Like it's really hard for them to get a permanent job there anymore, even a decent placement, because of everything's happening between two governments. But it's the opposite in the UK. Like getting a decent experience in here, and it's very, very important for Chinese students, because I've recently read a kind of like market research for more than 5,000 Chinese students, prospective students, compared to 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Chinese students choose to study abroad, or particularly UK as a destination, because of the academics excellency in here. But now it's appealing destination because of the employability, and also kids today, they know what they want. Like they know what they're doing. They're not just gonna just get a degree for the sake of getting a degree. More than half of them, or more than 6% of them, I think, already got a career plan in their head before they even start to study abroad. So that's a major factor of UK attracting even more Chinese students. And don't forget what we call, like, people like me, what we call career break student. After working years in big cities in China, we got exhausted. We don't have time to think what we're doing. We're operating like a machine, never got a decent real holiday or weekend. So, and then getting a degree and also a combination of 2 years working visa in here, it's ideal for people like me. So it's a new chapter. Basically, you're giving them a chance of a completely new chapter of their career path, or even their life path. For me, I think being able to study in here, and being able to became one of EC team, and after all this year, I felt like my experience in here really redefined my vision, and redefined the whole kind of like my understanding of career and life. Yeah, it's a very beneficial experience.
And it also means that businesses that don't have sponsorship licenses can actually hire Chinese staff, maybe within a Chinese social media support team or within customer services and sales. Chinese postgraduate manages to gain experience, and business manages to grow some sense of a Chinese department. So I think it's just a phenomenal opportunity for universities to work and collaborate much closer with businesses if they're not doing so already. So how can universities respond to the situation that we're currently in at the moment? We're in a lock-in situation. We don't know how long for. We've seen ALPS be postponed in China until this month. And that's obviously made it difficult for students to accept offers, because they've had to pass certain level of attainment within English. So what would you recommend, and how do you recommend that our universities respond to this virus and still hit their KPIs for 2020 and 2021 in terms of recruitment?
First of all, I think it's because it has been so many months. Like basically Chinese offer holders or students who are aiming for 2020 intake, they've been panicking since January.
Yeah.
Now, like, I was reading on social media this morning, actually, like, they announced that there's no more else test in May. But then if you look at the response, like, it seems like students are getting used to it. Like it's very interesting. I think it's a psychological thing or something. Like they've been super panic, and then they've reached to the point they're becoming determined again because it's so difficult now. They've been through so many difficulties. They are more determined than ever. I'm gonna stick to my original plan, no matter what, no matter how.
Yeah.
But still, for universities, I think it's not necessarily saying that they can sit back and relax because just they're gonna have the student coming naturally. I think they're still making choices, making final choices of the offers they're having in hand. So it's very important for every single UK university to be open.
Okay. Completely
open, like saying that we are making decisions every single day, but please bear with us and be open to and be active to any decision made, and just push out on social media and all channels as possible, as fast as possible, and be open. If you're making decision, whether you're extending deadlines, you're making this, tell students that you are making decisions.
Okay.
Be open, and I think don't just broadcast to students, having dialogues with them. And if you think about it, like there are 3 types of students they need to take care of, not just overholders, those who are struggling, kind of like stuck in here, the current student who's still on campus. Just make sure like you're taking care of them, you're speaking to them. If you got student ambassador, you can doing some studying from home campaigns on social media to keep them engaged, and also making sure they're safe and sound. And also those one who tried really hard and finally got back to China, they are studying with 7-hour time difference. And are you talking to them? Are you constantly checking whether they're coping all right? Let me give you an example. Like the whole China, there's a huge hashtag on Weibo now called surviving studying in UK. Like the whole China is watching how universities are treating their Chinese students in this critical moment. So be open, having dialogues rather than broadcasting information, and keeping an eye on the social sentiment. Otherwise, it's really easily that you can, university can be screwed with one single big PR crisis. But if we think it from a positive way, we've been working with a lot of universities, and we know how disjointed. Sorry for saying that. We know how disjointed internally, as they're having so many departments. Every single decision takes ages. They were never on the same page. Digital team, marketing team, China team, recruitment team, agents, faculty, departments. Now it's like the whole situation is forcing them to, put their heads together. And then to come up solutions very, very quick. I think it's a very challenging, but I would say it's a kind of like, after they've gone through with these, it's a whole new system. So it's kind of positive, and also it's the best time for a university to really build a brand image among Chinese students, because when everybody's doing what they have got to do, it's very easy for some of them to stand out if they're really showcasing how much they care. Because we've often seen, like, we know that there are more than 160 universities are trying to marketing to Chinese students in recent years. And it's very normal for them, especially if you're in not a Russell Group or top 10, very normal to be just perceived as just another UK university. Now it's time to build a brand, to win Chinese students' heart.
In fact, we've seen a lot of much smaller, lesser known universities be a lot more agile in their approach. The content is relevant, it resonates. They're sending care packages to University of Portsmouth, by way of example, sending care packages to students in lock-in. Those that are actually doing the English tests online so you don't have to sit the ALPS. Those that are actually creating some really emotive content, sharing that on social media. So it's actually not necessarily the larger universities, the Russell Group universities, that are actually really coming to the top, is it, Rocky? It's much more around those that are being agile and their departments can move very quickly and they can collaborate together. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. We've seen university who respond really quick and make the very first decisions among all universities, saying that we've confirmed we're moving our pre-sessional course online completely.
Okay.
I think we've seen some universities. I think some of Scotland universities are making really agile decisions and also showcasing their care by offering special scholarship to Chinese students from Wuhan, and
This has been fantastic. So just to finish up, because I don't want to make this too long a session, because I think for universities, just getting an overview as to how to do things better and be more agile and be more proactive at this time. If you were to summarise some do's and don'ts for universities at this time to be able to still hit their KPIs for 2020 and 2021 recruitments, given the current challenges and restrictions that we're in at the moment, what would they be, just as a summation to end this session?
I wouldn't necessarily put together a list of don'ts, although I've seen some universities, being quite silent on social media. I would say that don't stuck at the moment. Think of the bigger picture. I think of how, because now they're offering their last term online completely to their current student, right? It's the perfect opportunity to test it out whether distance learning would work, and it's whether, and there's anything they can see, they can monitor, getting feedback and trying to improve. Because face it, like maybe 2020 September intake, the whole first term needs to be long distance learning. So I think bigger picture, collaboration internally and collaboration with Chinese Students Association, collaborate with their brand ambassadors, collaborate with alumni, and then also in terms of bigger picture, like don't just focus on how you convince your overholders get in now. Give them a big picture also. Draw them a bigger picture of how, even if they need to finish their term 1 in China, but combine it with PSW. How you're gonna help them once they finally make it to here. It's your career support center can help them to find a decent replacement or even a job in here. Like, just think big.
That's been absolutely fantastic. So if anybody would like to find out more about how we help universities to gain not just more traction in the market, differentiate your brand, know how to deal with the coronavirus in terms of still hitting your KPIs for this current session coming up in September or for January 21, please don't hesitate, reach out on LinkedIn. I'm Domenica Diglietto, CEO, Rocky Chi, Head of Planning and Planning Director at Emerging Communications. Wishing you a wonderful day. Stay safe. Thank you very much.